puppies! Ah!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage Filmography Podcast. I am Megs.
I am Elizabeth.
And this week we watched 2003's Matchstick Men, which stars Nicolas Cage, Sam Rockwell, and Alison Lohman. Roy is Nicolas Cage's character. Frank is Sam Rockwell's character. They are small-time con men. Ray has what appears to be some form of OCD. He's very obsessive over the cleanliness of his house. He counts doors when he opens and closes them. The same with locks when he's locking and unlocking doors. Frank is the, quote, voice of their con. He tells people they've won amazing prizes and all they have to do is buy a really cheap air filtration or water filtration system at a very inflated price. Roy is usually the closer on the deals when there are objections like, oh, I need to talk to my husband about this. Roy has been taking these small pink pills for his condition, but one day he runs out and he misses an entire week of, quote, work, and then spends the entire week over cleaning his house. He tries to get more pills, but the doctor that he was getting them from is no longer available. He moved. Frank tells Roy about a different doctor, a man named Dr. Klein. Roy goes to see him, and Dr. Klein is insistent on doing actual talk therapy before he will give Ray the pills. They talk about his ex-wife, and it turns out they split up when she was 2 months pregnant because he hit her. Dr. Klein talks about how Roy could have a 14-year-old child. Roy can't let the idea go. He tries to contact his ex, but he hangs up every time she answers. He eventually asks Dr. Klein to make the call instead, and the good doctor agrees. At their next session, Dr. Klein tells Roy that Heather doesn't want to speak to him, but Angela, his daughter, does. He meets up with Angela. She goes by Angie, who is played by Alison Lohman, at a park. They hit it off immediately. They hang out for a while, and then he takes her home. A few days later, Angie shows up at his door saying that she had a fight with her mom. She just needs a place to stay for a few days. Her and her mom do this all the time. Roy lets her stay. He's beside himself with the mess that she's making in his house. When he has to go and do work, Angie snoops around his house and finds that he has a stash of cash and a gun inside of a hollowed-out dog statue. When he gets home, she asks him why he left her mom. He says, to ask your mother, but Angie says all her mom will say is that he's a bad guy. But Angie doesn't think he's a bad guy. The next day, Frank stops by to tell Roy about a big fish that they hooked the night before. He's chomping at the bit to do some kind of currency exchange scam. Roy won't let him in the house. He hasn't told Frank about Angie yet. Once he leaves, Angie calls her mom, and her mom wants her back for summer school, which starts on Monday. Angie wants to stay until then, but Roy says it's Thursday, and his face starts to tick a bit. We cut to Dr. Klein's office, where the doctor convinced him to let the kids stay. The next day, Frank and Roy meet up with their mark. Roy is a smooth talker and creates a rapport over them both having teenage daughters. He says everything smells like gum all the time. As their mark leaves, Frank has questions. Roy takes him back to his house and introduces him to Angie, but she's not there. Later that night, when Angie sneaks back in, they have a huge fight, and Angie storms out, and they have a screaming match in the street. Roy calms her down and convinces her to come back inside, and she can stay the rest of the weekend. Back inside, Roy tells her that he's a con man and Frank is his partner. Angie begs Roy to teach her something, but he says no and explains that a lot of the time, what he's actually doing is taking money from people that need it. Old people, pensioners, stuff like that. But Angie wants to know and pesters him until he says yes. The next day, they pull a job with a lotto ticket at the laundromat. Angie is very excited and they make $300, but then Roy makes her give the money back to the lady that they conned. Angie isn't happy, but she does it. At Dr. Klein's office, Roy tells him that he took Angie on a, quote, sale. He's told the doctor that he's an antiques dealer, that he really enjoyed it. The doctor seems a bit concerned, but lets it go. Next, Roy meets with Frank at the airport to set up the rest of the job. This is where they're making their move on their mark. The plan is to exchange the monies and then distract the mark and switch out the briefcases so that Frank and Roy walk out with the money that they brought and the mark's money. Roy picks Angie up from summer school and they go bowling. Frank pages him and tells Roy that they have to do the job now, today. The mark is flying to the Caymans. Roy goes to take Angie home, but he doesn't have time, so he takes her with. They stop at a bank so Roy can get his cash from a safety deposit box. He adds Angie to his account as a signature, a signer, but he doesn't give her the passcode to access it, and then they head to the airport. Everything goes smoothly. Angie provides the distraction at the airport bar. But once Roy and Angie go to leave, the Mark comes running into the parking structure. He chases their car, but Roy and Angie are able to get out of the parking garage just in time. They meet up with Frank, and Roy is pissed. He told Frank to walk the Mark to the gate, but Frank says he's not the one that brought a child. The Mark could go to the cops. Roy says they're safe, but Frank asks about Angie. Roy goes to the car where Angie is and asks. She tells him that she was arrested for shoplifting. Roy goes to take Angie back home again, and before he drops her off, she tells him that she's off school all of August and she could stay with him, but he blows her off and tells her he won't be around for a while. She tries again, but Roy tells her that she's getting in the way, and he tells her to go home and not to call him again while she's sobbing. When she goes to leave, she gives him an ashtray that she bought him at the airport with an angel dog in it. He tries to tell her that he's sorry, get back in the car, but she says that he's not a bad guy, just not a very good guy, and then walks off towards her mom's house. Roy is depressed at home. He gets a call from Frank that they need to work and gets up to get ready, but he's out of his new pills, and Dr. Klein is also out of his office for the day. Roy is freaking out. His phone dies, and so he goes through his trash to find a foil packet from the pills that he had and then goes to the pharmacy. The pharmacist tells him that they aren't whatever the doctor had called them. What they're called is something called Suplifem, which are menstrual supplements that you can just get over the counter. Back at Dr. Klein's office, Roy confronts him about the pills. The doctor says that Roy doesn't actually need medication. His issues are coming from being a criminal. Roy tries to refute this, but Dr. Klein says that the ottoman that he's been putting his feet on when Roy comes to his office is an antique. He's had people that work in trade jobs compliment him on it, but Roy had no idea of its value. Then he convinces Roy to make up with Angie. Roy goes to the park that Angie frequents and tells her that he's looking into joint custody and asks if that's something she would want. He has to stop being a con man. She hugs him and begs him to please try. Back at Roy's house, Frank is there, and Roy makes them drinks and tells them that he's quitting. Frank is disappointed, but he understands. Roy takes Angie to dinner, and when they get back to his house that night, Frank is there and he's beat to shit. Their Mark from the airport is holding a gun on him. He tells Roy to give him all of his money. That will be the first payment. From here on, Roy and Frank will give him half of everything that they make. The Mark makes Angie go and get the money from the dog, but she comes back with the gun. She tries to make the man leave, but she ends up shooting him. Frank says he's not going to make it. Roy makes Frank take Angie and the money. He's going to take the guy to the hospital. He tells Frank to take Angie home and then drive south and never come back. When Roy goes back inside, the man is gone, and then he gets hit from behind. Roy wakes up in a hospital bed, and two detectives are there asking questions about Frank and Angela. He says he's the one that shot the guy. The detectives tell him that the guy didn't make it. Roy says that if they let him see his shrink, he'll tell them everything. Dr. Klein comes to visit. Roy tells him he needs help and to get his code for the safety deposit box to Angela. Dr. Klein takes the code and he leaves. Hours later, Roy is sweating and tries to get the detectives to turn down the AC, but no one comes in and the door is unlocked. It turns out he's in some kind of abandoned parking structure in some antechamber on the inside. He begins to run, and as he's running, Frank has a voiceover, and it's telling Roy that he had a score that he had to take. Roy goes to Dr. Klein's office, but it's now empty. He goes to his house and finds Frank's letter in his now empty dog statue. Roy goes to the bank and looks in his safety deposit box. It's empty, but for a few hundred bills, a few $100 bills. And this whole time, Frank's voiceover is playing, telling him that he's really sorry, but he just couldn't pass this up. Next, Roy goes to his ex-wife's house to find Angie, but his ex tells him that she had a miscarriage all of those years ago. And Roy breaks down and has a sob fest on her porch. Next, we cut to a year later. Roy works at a carpet store. A young couple come in, and Roy goes to assist the young man while the woman looks around. When the woman joins them, it's Angela. She's changed her hair, and she's wearing adult clothes. Roy doesn't out her in front of her boyfriend, though. After he sells them a leopard print carpet, he catches up with Angela. They apologize to each other. She tells him that Frank screwed her over too. They decide that they did have a good time together, and she leaves with her new boyfriend and their ugly fucking carpet. As they're leaving, she turns one last time and asks if he wants to know her name, but Roy says that he already knows her name. And she smiles at him and says, "I'll see you around, Dad." Roy grabs some groceries after work on his way home. He's now married to a woman that throughout the movie he kind of flirted with at the checkout line at the grocery store that he goes to. They are married. She's pregnant. He says hello to her, and then he kneels down and presses his face against her belly as the screen goes black. The end. Elizabeth?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you think of this movie?
I liked this movie quite a bit. It is clever, it's fun, it's well acted. However, I figured it out halfway through and was really disappointed that I was right.
Yeah. I also have the same feelings. I will say that for the fact that this is a Ridley Scott movie, I'm actually a little disappointed in the fact that it is a Ridley Scott movie and it's not better than it was. It is a good movie. It's not to like take away from it. It has 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's worth a watch. It's a good movie. I was just a little, I don't know, disappointed in the quality of it.
I thought the quality was fine. I literally wrote the note, is Frank conning him? Because it at one point becomes the very obvious answer.
Yeah.
And I wish it wasn't so obvious. I really wish that it had kept me in the dark until the twist. But it didn't.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if this, because I also had the same issue where I figured it out pretty quickly. But Sam Rockwell, Frank, was also the clue, because you never can trust Sam Rockwell's characters to be what they are presenting to you at the beginning, because they never are the same character, right? So, like, that's your first clue, is like, okay, so Sam Rockwell and Nicolas Cage are con men. So, like, Nicolas Cage is going to get fucked over at some point because Sam Rockwell is here.
Well, no, I mean, Sam Rockwell plays it straight sometimes. Like Galaxy Quest.
Okay. That wasn't really a star. He was Guy. He was like a random, like, hanger on.
We gotta get out of here before somebody shoots Guy.
I will give you Galaxy Quest. Sure.
He's pretty straightforward in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
That's fair. You're right. That is fair. Most of the other movies I've seen of him, though, he is not. Which is fine.
He's so good. Can we, like, Sam Rockwell?
He's amazing.
In an adjacent universe, this is a Sam Rockwell podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
He's so fucking good. He's so good.
Yeah. Like, maybe we found our idea for our next podcast. Who knows? Because he's a very good, like, prolific actor. I would honestly love to watch more of his movies. Yeah. Because he did, like, and he's always, the thing about Sam Rockwell is that when he does play a role where he's going to end up fucking someone over, he plays it pretty tight.
Yeah.
Like, the most you really see is, like, well, he's probably going to be a goofball. Like, I feel like that's pretty typecast for him. If he's going to end up turning out to be the bad guy, he's going to be a bit of a funny dick in the beginning, like Charlie's Angels, Iron Man 2, like, how many others I've seen him in. Yeah, no, Sam Rockwell was a treat. He was an absolute treat for this watching.
I also want to highlight Alison Lohman, because at first I was like, I don't like this performance. But then as it went on, I was like, oh, because it's part of the con.
Yeah. She's actually amazing. She retired from acting in 2009 to be a mom, which is totally fine. But I've seen a few of her movies, and she's always very spot on. There was a movie that she was in with Michelle Pfeiffer called White Oleander it still blows my fucking mind to this day when I watch it. It's so good. She's pretty amazing. And I remember reading about this movie, and so, like, I had to go back and look it up to see if it was true, and it is. When she auditioned for this movie, she was 24 years old. But, like, she genuinely had the casting director and Ridley Scott believing that she was a teenager.
Huh.
Like, and she did a good, I don't know, I think that she did a good job at being 14.
I agree. The scene in the airport garage where the Mark comes after them
Yeah.
is so tense.
So fucking tense.
It is so well acted. It is so tense. It is it is a really good scene. Like, I thought the gig was up. I thought they were caught. I thought that there was no way they were going to get out of this.
Yeah.
And as they're like at the toll booth and he's waiting for his change, you're really like with him, like, come on, lady, hurry the fuck up.
Yeah. And then come to find out that their mark wasn't even a mark.
Right.
He was part of the con the entire time.
I kind of felt like this movie takes a little bit to get going, but it's Nicolas Cage playing a dad, and he plays that so well.
He really does. Like, unexpected. I think we've only seen a few movies of him being a parent. And it's every time I see it, it's so unexpected.
I did have one serious gripe with this movie, though.
And what's that?
Has Ben and Jerry's ever come in containers that large?
Yeah.
I thought you could only get the little Ben and Jerry's.
The pints?
Yeah.
No, they used to make bigger ones. They make bigger ones now, too.
Where?
Giant Eagle has them. Giant Eagle, by the way, for listeners that don't live in our immediate area, is a local chain grocery store in southwestern Pennsylvania.
I have never seen a gallon of Ben and Jerry's before.
Well, I don't think it's a gallon. I think it's like the half gallons, like Edie's.
I'm still disbelieving. It looks like a movie prop.
I mean, it very well could be. Who knows? But I mean, this is also 2003. How much do you really remember about 2003?
Not a lot. That's
not
fair.
a lot.
Nicolas Cage, his facial tics.
Oh yeah, I made a note about that.
His facial tics are so good.
They really are good. They really are good. And I didn't really like look into it because I didn't want to like be offended on behalf of people, which is a stupid place to be in at any point. But like, is he like trying to like do Tourette's and OCD and blah blah like at the same time? But they were timed so perfectly to his dialogue.
Yeah.
That, like, you can't help but imagine that this is his natural state.
Yeah. He really had that down pat.
The OCD that he does with the door.
Yeah.
The locks that, like, anytime that he opens his door, he has to open it and close it 3 times. So he's like, 1, 2, 3. Or if he has to lock something, it's lock, unlock, lock again. Like, and he counts it 1, 2, 3. He's crazy about the way that he like doesn't like to touch anything with his bare hands. It's believable. The argument that he has with the shrink the first time that he goes to see Dr. Klein, and Dr. Klein's trying to talk him out of basically like wanting medication. He's like, Doc, listen, I spent the entire week last week on my carpet counting the fibers. When I wasn't doing that, I was blah, blah, blah. He was like, I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I need something so that I can go and be normal and just function and have a regular life. Like, I felt that. That felt like a genuine, like, I'm fucking frustrated. Please just give me pills so that I can go and be a human.
Yeah.
It was good. What would you give the caginess of this movie?
Oh, it's an A+.
I agree. What would you give the movie on its whole?
On its whole, I want to give it like a B minus. Not because it's not good, but because I figured it out.
That's fair. I'd go with a B+. That's fine. I wasn't, wowed by this movie. It is a good movie. It's very well paced. It's very well written. It's very well acted. But yes, the fact that you are able to, and maybe it's just because you and I consume so much like visual media that it's just, or maybe it's just Mystery Science Theater's fault entirely. I don't know. But I think we both picked up on the fact that he was going to get screwed over very quickly, which takes sort of the fun out of it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess this is just where we're going to end it. This is a B- movie with an A+ Nicolas Cage. It's also, I'm just going to say it, it's an A+ experience with Sam Rockwell as ever as well. I think that we would both recommend this movie to anybody that, is interested. But yeah, that's where we're going to land on our discussion on it this week. There's really not a whole lot more to say on it. But if you do like what we're doing and you like what you heard and you want to follow along with us, we are on socials on Instagram and Not the Beast Pod, and we post the synopsis and a couple of photos every week. We are also, if you are so inclined to support what we're doing, if you like what we're doing and want to hear more, you can see us over on patreon.com/notthebees. We would absolutely, of course, appreciate any support, but we would also appreciate, if you just interacted with this episode in any way, shape, or form. If you like, subscribe, share, whatever, help us reach a wider audience, we would certainly appreciate it. But like I said, that's going to be it for us this week. So I've been Nice.
And I've been Elizabeth.
And we'll see you next week.